Hello and welcome to the Division of Practitioner Databank Customer Support Resource Series. We have prepared a number of short technical assistance videos that can be used as an orientation, a refresher, or a way to troubleshoot an issue you may be facing. Whether you are a new user or a seasoned veteran of the National Practitioner Databank, this series will provide useful tips that will make using the databank more efficient and productive. For additional assistance, you can always visit our website at www.npdb.hrsa.gov or contact our Customer Service Center by phone at 1-800-767-6732 or by email at help@npdb.hrsa.gov. This video covers the topic of medical malpractice payment reports. During this video, you will learn when to submit a medical malpractice payment report to the NPDB, the step-by-step process of how to submit the report, and the importance of entering accurate information. This video is targeted to malpractice insurance companies, self-insured hospitals, state government patient compensation plans, or other state insurance funds, and other self-insured healthcare entities. Those who query the databank may also find the information in this video useful. Medical malpractice payments are reportable to the NPDB if they meet the following requirements. There must be a payment made. Payment must be made for the benefit of a healthcare practitioner. The payment must derive from a medical malpractice claim or judgment, and it must be made by a third party. It's important to note that if a practitioner makes the payment out of personal funds, not a corporate account or with money that will be reimbursed by an insurer, then the payment would not be reportable. Reports are required to be reported within 30 days from the date the medical malpractice payment was made. So what is a medical malpractice claim? Title IV of the Healthcare Quality Improvement Act of 1986 defines a medical malpractice claim as a written claim or demand for payment based on a healthcare provider's furnishing or failure to furnish healthcare services, and includes the filing of a cause of action based on the law of tort, brought in any court of any state or the United States seeking monetary damages. Claims raised in arbitration or other adjudicative bodies are still considered claims for the purposes of reporting. This includes claims raised in adjudicative bodies such as alternative dispute resolution models if the claim also includes a written demand from the patient for compensation. To submit a medical malpractice payment report, you first go to our homepage. On the left-hand side of the page, under Healthcare Organizations, you will select Sign In. We are now on the Sign In page for healthcare organizations. In the box labeled Databank ID, otherwise known as the DB ID, please enter your 15-digit DB ID. In the box labeled User ID, please enter your username. In the box labeled Password, please enter your password. In this example, we will enter 4297 00 000 107 583 for Databank ID, MedMal Payer for User ID, and your password, and select the Sign In button. Next, you will see the registration confirmation page. Review relevant information and select Continue. Under Report Options, select the Report button. On the Report Type screen, you will select whether you wish to start a new report, continue with a draft report that was started earlier, or modify an existing report. Once you choose which action you would like to complete, select Continue. In this case, you will focus on starting a new report. On the Identify the Subject screen, you will enter the practitioner's last name, first name, middle name, and suffix if applicable. After you have finished this step, you will select Continue. In this example, we enter Williams as the last name and Sean as the first name and select Continue. You will note that on the Select Action screen, you are automatically given limited options based on how your organization is registered. For example, a medical malpractice payer will not automatically be given an option to submit an adverse licensure report. If the correct action type does not automatically appear, you would select the Show Additional Report Types link. In this example, we will select the only possibility, medical malpractice payment. We have now arrived at the report input form. You will notice there are 3 tabs. Tab number 1 is Subject Information, Tab number 2 is Action Information, and tab number 3 is Certification. Under the first section of tab number 1, Subject Information, titled Practitioner Information, you will enter the practitioner's personal information such as name, gender, and birth date. The name pre-populates from your previous entry. Note that you can also input additional names for report subjects. Please enter as many additional names as you have available, as this information will ensure entities querying on the subject receive all relevant reports. In this example, we will select Add Another Name Used in order to enter Williams as the last name and Paul as the first name, as our practitioner sometimes goes by different names professionally. There are instances when the subject of a report dies between when the action is taken and the report is submitted. The reporter will indicate that the subject is deceased on the report. It is not the reporter's responsibility to revise a report at a later time when a subject of a report dies. Select the appropriate answer as to whether the subject is deceased or not. Here we select No, indicating the subject is not deceased. In this example, the practitioner is a male, so we select the Male Radio button and enter in a birth date of 07-15-1962. Next, you will enter in the most recent contact address you have for the practitioner. In the street address, city, state, and zip code fields, we enter 1234 Beach Drive, Los Angeles, California, and 90263, respectively. In the Work Information section, we begin by entering the name of the organization. You will note a checkbox that allows you to pre-populate the Work Information section. At this point, you will enter the practitioner's place of work. If the practitioner's work information is the same as your organization's, for instance, if you are a self-insured hospital, be sure to check the box under Work Information, and the information will automatically populate from your NPDB account. This field is likely not applicable to most medical malpractice payers because the practitioner is not likely to have the same working address as you. In this example, we will enter in the organization name as Patients First Hospital. The address we are entering is 1819 Medical Drive, Hollywood, California, 90046. In the following section, you will enter the Social Security number and Drug Enforcement Administration number. As is true throughout the entire process, it is important that you enter accurate information. Here we enter the Social Security number as all ones and the Drug Enforcement Administration number as AA12345667. We now move to the Occupation and State Licensure Information section. When you put your cursor in the Occupation Field of Licensure text box, a drop-down menu will appear. You will see your most recently used occupations displayed at the top of the list. If you are submitting a report on one of these, simply select that occupation title. If you are submitting a report on a different occupation than those recently used, you may find and select the occupation title on the list, or you may begin typing the name of the occupation in the search box. In the section titled Occupation Field of Licensure, we start typing in Podiatrist, and options will appear in a scroll-down menu. Choose the option Podiatrist. In this example, we enter the practitioner's license number or check the box that reads unlicensed/no license if this is the case. Be sure to select the appropriate state of licensure from the drop-down list. In this example, we enter in the state of licensure as CA for California and license number as CA1234. Next, we move on to the Professional Schools Attended section. In this example, we entered the school name as Harvard Medical School and year of graduation as 1988. Note that the system has an autofill feature that suggests school names. Not every professional school for every profession is currently included in this feature. Under the section Hospital Affiliations, type in all hospitals that you know this practitioner is affiliated with. In this example, we type in Patients First Hospital for the name and Hollywood, CA, as in California, for the city and state fields, respectively. At the end of this page, you will see the option to add or update the subject's information in your subject database for future use. You will then select the button Continue to Action Information, which takes you to the Action Information tab. Under the Action Information tab, you will first start by inputting data in the Payments by this payer for this practitioner section. You will type in the amount paid on behalf of this practitioner and select whether it was a single final payment or one of multiple payments. Type in the date of payment. In this example, we enter $100,000 in the amount of this payment for this practitioner field. In the date of this payment field, we enter 01/31/2015 as the payment date. We then select the radio button for a single final payment from the This Payment Represents section. Next, in the field Total Amount Paid or to be paid by this payer for this practitioner, you will enter the total amount paid by you on behalf of this practitioner and whether it was the result of a judgment, settlement, or payment prior to settlement. In this example, we enter in $100,000 as the total amount paid and then select the radio button for settlement. In this section, you will also enter the adjudicative body case number, the adjudicative body name, and the court file number. For this example, we enter in ADJ5862314 for the adjudicative body case number, Los Angeles District Court as the adjudicative body name, and D03451023 as the court file number. We are now at the point where we must enter a narrative description in the description of judgment or settlement and any conditions, including terms of payment field. Here is where you also have the opportunity to describe the judgment or settlement and any conditions in 4,000 characters or less. In this section, you may want to explain any conditions specific to this payment that could better assist the reader of this report in understanding the significance of the payment. The narrative description should have enough detail to ensure that future queriers have a clear understanding of what the subject of the report is alleged to have done and the nature of and reasons for the event upon which the report is based. A narrative description cannot exceed 4,000 characters, including spaces and punctuation. There can be no reference to URLs or external websites in the narrative, nor may proper names be used or information that could identify patients, staff members, or others, aside from information which identifies the subject of the report. Because the law requires all payments be reported, regardless of whether the standard of care was met, the narrative sections allow you to describe anything that may help the querier better understand the incident. For instance, if the standard of care was found to be met, you may want to state that in the narrative section. In this example, we write, one lump sum payment in the amount of $100,000 was made on behalf of the insured. The payment was a result of a pre-litigation settlement. No liability was assigned as a result of the settlement. Under the section Payments by this payer for other practitioners in this case, you will enter the total amount paid for all practitioners in this case, which includes the amount you have previously entered for this particular practitioner, and the amount of any additional payments made for other practitioners in this case. In this example, we entered $200,000 as the total amount paid, and 3 as the total number of practitioners for whom you have made payments on behalf of in this case. In the Payment Information section, select the drop-down menu next to Relationship of Entity to this practitioner, and choose the correct relationship description when the option appears. In this example, we choose Insurance Company Primary Insurer. Under the heading Payments by Others for this practitioner, you will be asked to identify whether other payments have been made for this practitioner by either a state guarantee fund or another insurance company. In this example, we select No for both questions. If you are unsure, you may select Unknown. In this section, under Classification of Acts or Omissions, you will enter information about the patient, such as age, gender, and type. In this example, we select Years under Patient's age at a time of initial event, and enter 25 when prompted. We select Female for patient's gender, and Inpatient for the patient type. In this section, you also have the opportunity to describe, in 4,000 characters or less, the medical treatment of the patient, and 4,000 characters or less to describe the procedure performed. In these narratives, you will want to include any relevant medical information that will better inform future queryers as to the nature of the medical malpractice and the competency of the practitioner. Under the description of the medical condition with which the patient presented to treatment prior to the event that led to the malpractice allegation, we enter the text broken metatarsals in right foot causing persistent and severe pain. Under the section Description of the procedure performed, we enter the 25-year-old female patient underwent foot surgery in December 2013 for a broken metatarsal that did not heal properly. Prior to the surgery, the patient presented with significant long-term pain that required the use of a cane to assist with walking. After surgery, pain persisted and worsened. Under Allegation, you will use the drop-down menus to select Nature of Allegation and Specific Allegation. Hover over the blank field and options will pop up in a scroll-down menu. Here we choose 001 Diagnosis Related for the nature of allegation, and Failure to Diagnose for specific allegation. We also select the date of the event, which is in this example 12/14/2013. Under Outcome, use the scroll-down menu to select the appropriate outcome. Here we select Major Temporary Injury. We are also given the opportunity here to describe the allegations and injuries in a narrative. For this narrative, we enter Patient was eventually treated with additional surgeries by another surgeon. Additional surgeries and 3 months of physical therapy resulted in lessened pain and increased mobility. The patient appeared to recover fully after 6 months of physical therapy. The injury significantly affected the patient's ability to walk, drive, and work through September 2014. Before you leave this tab, you will have the option of using identifiers as references which are unique to your own entity. These optional fields include Entity Internal Report Reference and Customer Use. In this example, we will leave these fields blank. To move to the final tab, select the Continue to Certifications button. When you select Continue to Certifications, you may be asked to verify information previously entered. After checking your data, you may select Continue. Now we are on the Certification tab. Under the Certification tab, you either allow the National Practitioner Databank to forward the report to the appropriate state licensing board, or you attest that you will fulfill your responsibility to submit a copy of this report to the appropriate state board. You are required by law to submit the report to the state licensing board. Choose the appropriate state board and select that radio button. If there is no state board to choose, or if you wish to fulfill your legal obligation by submitting the report directly to the state board yourself, choose the radio button for I attest that I will provide a copy of this report to the appropriate state board. The following fields are pre-populated with information from your NPDB account: Authorized submitter's name, authorized submitter's title, authorized submitter's phone, and date. It is important to verify the accuracy of this information. To submit the report, select the Submit to Databank button. If for some reason you are not ready to submit the report, you may select the Store as a Draft button. The draft is saved for up to 30 days. In this example, we will select the Submit to Databank button. Finally, we arrive at the Report Submission Complete page. This page serves as confirmation of the report you submitted. From this page, you may save a copy of the report using the Save Report to your computer button. This concludes the reporting process. You can return to the main options screen and begin a new report or complete another NPDB function by selecting the Return to Options button. You should now know when to submit a medical malpractice report, how to submit a report, and the importance of submitting accurate and complete information. Thank you for viewing this video. We hope you learned how medical malpractice payment reports are submitted to the NPDB. For further assistance, please contact our customer service center by phone at 800-767-6732 or via email at help@npdb.hrsa.gov. The NPDB website is www.npdb.hrsa.gov.